G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Enno from Fantasy Take TV. Thought I'd jump on here on a Friday after the start of round 2 has kicked off and talk about what I'm thinking with my team. In a pretty good position after week 1, but only one round and still plenty to think about. And as you can see down on my forward bench, there's a big problem there. So last night, Doherty as well, I guess, it's sitting at D2. Wasn't great from him. Had a decent first half. He's missing a few, kicks you'd normally expect him to hit, and then sort of just faded out in the second half as Carlton sort of started to get on top. And look, there's a few guys down in the Carlton defence now. Even Cowan himself, gets a little bit of the ball. McGovern's down there, took a few kick-outs. Sard got a lot of the ball. I think he almost had 30 touches. And then Newman's there as well. So they sort of evenly split the kick-outs between, I think, 4 of them. And, I think Doc only ended up with 2. So, look, there's still some big games with Doc. I think last year he had a few scores under 80 as well, but some monster ones too. So he's not as consistent, I'd say, as like a Sicily or even a Dawson who has quite a good floor. He has more ups and downs, so I'm totally fine with Doc. I'm not jumping off or doing any silly things like that. So, we saw him do it in the preseason, and we saw him do it towards sort of the back end of last year too. That he can go massive. So not really worried about Doc. The big one is Tanner Bruin and what Chris Scott has him playing, what role. I mean, it was, funnily enough, kind of a better role last night. Like last week was a lot more wing, and especially in the second half. So he did play a little bit more midfield last night, but his time on ground was still terrible, in the 60s, low 60s, and just always found a way to get back to the bench. They don't fully trust him. And look, I really should have seen this coming. I think I did say it on one of our preseason podcasts when sort of George was pumping him up, and I did get convinced by that last preseason game, which he looked awesome in, but obviously it wasn't enough for him to jump up the pecking order in the midfield. They're still going to the tried and true, Dangerfields, Guthrie's, Tom Atkins, who's been awesome for him. So you can't really knock Chris Scott for doing that, but, a new player and only a young kid as well in Tanner Bruin. Probably a bit naive for me and whoever else picked him to expect him to be right up there from the get-go. So, he might have to earn his way there. It might take a year. You never know. And we saw Jack Bowes come in, play a multitude of positions last night and look really good. He was a mature body, so it just might be a while for Tanner until he gets into the role. And maybe he's not fit enough and doesn't have the tank to run out a game, seeing that he's Togg's been so low over the first couple of weeks. And I think it was even only in the 70s for all of last year, and he's pretty much got to go last week. And now I did loop him, which is a bit of a positive, I guess. But I mean, the option here is Fergus Green, right? And what it does do if I opt to go with Fergus is get rid of my loophole. So my initial plan, was to see what Tanner scored. If it was fine, then all good. I can take his score, use Madden as a loophole if I need to with the VC and C, and all's happy and do no trades. But now I'm thinking to get a bit more aggressive. I'm going to be boosting next week, all but certainly. What for, obviously, is yet to be seen. But Bruin out is one that obviously know is going to happen. Who comes in is obviously the bigger question, and then obviously who goes out depends on performance. Hopper's obviously in a lot of people's guns. Staring down the barrel. And then obviously some other rookies like a Chesser or something who, just really doesn't look to be up to it quite yet, despite getting another game. So what I'm now thinking of doing is flicking Chesser, who, look, may come well at some point, but it just doesn't look like it's going to be too soon. He hasn't played much footy. I'll put it frank. He hasn't played much footy really at all. Like in his top age year, obviously injured all of last year pretty much. He just hasn't played a lot of footy recently, and he's still a very young kid. So, he might find his way to the teams soon, but to be honest, even if he keeps playing, we are judging off 1 week. I just don't know if I see much scoring from him and much cash gen. So what my plan here is to get Cade Chandler. So I have to flick forward to the midfield, and then I'll talk about soon why or who I'm looking at possibly benching, but we'll get the team back as what this looks like. Now, Cade Chandler looked really, really good last week. Has sort of been plying his trade in the VFL for a while. He's a mature age. Been on the list for a few years, been subbed a number of times, subbed on, subbed off. Had out of the VFL quite a few times. But when he's played VFL, he's, up around the ball, plays high up forward and was getting 25 touches and a few goals. And is a really good tackler as well. If you watched last week, you would have seen it. So the question mark with him, right, being in the D's, such a good team, very hard for spots, is his job security. But I'm pretty confident, and there's just news come out of Christian Salem, who's had a small tear in his meniscus. Another setback. He's dealing with that thyroid, which is a weird injury. I don't even really know what that is, but a small tear in his meniscus, and looks to be at least another month out. So whatever happens there, there's at least a month out for another player. You'll ask, what does that mean? He's a defender. That's sort of Judd McVie. What I think is, and speaking to a few Melbourne fans, we saw it week 1. James Harms played halfback. Angus Brayshaw's been playing there, but they have a few versatile guys that can go back there. So obviously Cozzy's suspended for a couple of weeks. When he comes back in, who goes out? He's the last one really to come back in that's best 22. And for me, it probably could be Judd McVie, and that's what I think it will be. And they can restructure, put Harms back to halfback, keep a Tom Sparrow in the team, which they really like, and bring Cozzy back into the forward line and still have a spot for Chandler. So look, we're not going to really learn much this week, and even if you guys don't get Chandler this week, which I still think is fine, right? I'm doing a bit of a risk here, getting someone off one game, but it frees up my 3 trades for next week. Knowing that I'm already going to have to trade Bruin. There'll be other rookies possibly to bring in. Maybe if Finn Callahan goes off with his, proposed mid-time this week, and looks to be a must. If he just goes big again, I think, we'll just have to take the plunge there. Other rookies like Philippou, who I really like the look of, I might want to get. So doing this frees up, a trade next week, because I really don't have any other trades to do this week. So I'm already in an advantageous position. I can sort of use one here, get a rookie I think will be good for us, and do it now instead of, having to do it next week. So that's my thinking. Obviously, what it does do is mean I have to field, one of my forwards in the midfield for a week, and then they can go back down in a couple of weeks. But what I have to do is bench someone here. So whether it's Goda maybe, I think I like fielding Constable just with his role for another week, even if he may get dropped soon. Maybe you have to bench Goda, which is a bit annoying, considering the money I've paid up for him. And what I actually will do is just play someone like a Dunkley instead, because what I can do here is, there are rumours about Gordon, being allowed out. So maybe if he is, I could field Fergus Green, or I think it's just more flexible. So what it does mean is I have to field Chandler this week, and what I will do is see what my VC scores. I've got it on the Shrek right now. It could be Bont still, I think. I'll make that call tomorrow. And then I'm able to use Madden still if I need. And if the VC goes big enough for me wanting to take it, then I'll take Tanner's score by using, the C on Madden anyway. And to be honest, I don't think Fergus Green's going to score much more than a 46 anyway, playing against the Swans away. With the Hawks not, in a full rebuild mode, he's only going to get a chance or two to kick a goal. So, and even then, that's not really going to do a lot for his scoring. So, that's my thinking. Let me know what you think, what you're doing. As I said, was in a pretty good position from week 1. Didn't have to, trade any injuries, luckily, like a Stewart or a Josh Kelly. So, I'm going to use a trade here, I think, to get in a rookie who I think now has good job security for the, medium term. To free up a trade next week, and that's my thinking. Let me know what you guys think, and who you're trading Tanner Bruin to next week if you've got him, because he's absolutely gone. So thanks for watching, guys. Good luck for the rest of the weekend, and we'll see you for the review. Cheers.